What's up guys, Voodoo MMA here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the best prospects coming out of the Contender Series. It feels like we've had more finishes in the Contender Series than in the fight nights recently, and they've really just been putting it all out in there. But some of them haven't been that good either. So with that being said, we're going to go through each week and I'll give you my best picks on who I think will do good in the UFC. Alright, week 1, we got Jose Delgado. He's 26, 5'11", featherweight, 8 wins, 1 decision loss. He took this fight on 11 days notice. He's coming from the MMA lab. He's well-rounded. He has good cardio, non-stop pressure, and he had a great knee KO in that Contender Series fight. And I just think he's a dog. In his next fight, I think he should get like a medium to low-level competition and just see what else he could do out there and let him just kind of grow more. But he's definitely a good prospect. Alright, week 2, Cody Haddon. This guy's 26, 5'7", bantamweight, 7-1. All his fights are finishes, and that one loss he has is to Steve Erceg, Bedtime MMA, and it's a decision loss, unanimous decision, but he did really good in that fight, and it's not a bad loss on his record at all. In the Contender Series fight, he showed heavy pressure, speed and aggression, mixing targets, body and head. He's great at closing the void as well, and he's just dangerous. Great boxing ability, clean combos. He got basically a club and sub. You know, he knocked down the opponent and then went down with ground and pound. And he showed good ground game too with his positioning. He also just fought Dan Argueta in the last fight night, and even though it went to decision, he still did pretty good. To me, he looked a little bit tired, but he's only going to get better, and he's so young. And he trains with Steve Erceg now too, and they train at the same gym. So the sky's the limit for this guy. Really good prospect. All right, week 3, we got Malcolm Wellmaker. He's 30, 5'9", bantamweight, 8-0, undefeated. He has a 75% finishing rate, and he uses his distance when he's fighting. And I notice he's really composed and relaxed in there. He has great footwork and head movement, and he kept doing like this lean back, like almost like a fadeaway type movement. But he showed good vision, seeing when the punches were coming and just counter striking in there. And a great KO power. I think he needs a test in his next fight, so he should get like a medium to higher level step up. And I'm pretty impressed with this guy. I think he's going to do good as well. Next up, Marco Tulio. He's 30, 6'1", middleweight, 12-1. He fought last year on the Contender Series as well. He has a 75% finishing rate. Right now he's on an 8-fight winning streak, and he's coming out the shootbox gym with Charles Oliveira. He's an in-fighter, and he's got nice boxing and effective clinch work using knees and elbows in close distance. Creative shots too on the feet, throwing spinning kicks, like a spinning back kick, and just good timing. I think his next fight should be like lower to middle level. He did do pretty good, but just also to build him up. But this guy is really, really good, and I think he's going to do good in the UFC. Alright, week 4. Yanesi Dubin. She's 28, 5'4". She's a flyweight, 6-0, undefeated. All finishes. All her fights ended in finishes. Her opponent kept rushing in. Dubin, she just stayed composed, kept boxing, and that's what led to the success. She kept popping the jab, and she set up a nasty sledgehammer overhand right. And that was the biggest upset underdog win in Dana White Contender Series history. So that's pretty major. And look at Dana's face in the picture. You know he wasn't letting her slide. He had to sign her. So she's probably the best female prospect to come out of the Contender Series. I do have one more pick, but she looked really good out there. I think she gets a higher level competition, medium level, maybe just another highlight reel KO, but she's going to be a good prospect for sure. And she's still pretty young too, 28. All right, next up we got Austin Bashi, 23, 5'6", featherweight. He's 13-0, so he's undefeated. In his fight, I think he showed good scrambles, and he's highly skilled for sure with his wrestling. I don't know what high school or if he wrestled in college, maybe not, but you could tell that this guy's a wrestler for sure. He used his striking, though, to create takedowns and just using boxing and kicks, a little bit of everything. And he showed strong hip control when he was in top mount, and he used hooks to finish. I think this kid needs a test as well, like a higher level to mid-level fight. And this guy looked really good too, and he's super young. So we can only imagine how far he's gonna go. But high hopes for this guy, and featherweight has a nice wrestler to the addition. All right, moving on. Week 5, Yusri Belgarui. This guy is 32, 6'5", light heavyweight. He's 8-3, all decision losses, so he hasn't been finished in MMA. But he was previously a kickboxer. He has an extensive kickboxing career. He fought Izzy and Alex Pereira, and he has a decision win over Pereira in that fight. But last year, he lost to Marco Tullio from Week 3 in the Contender Series. This guy's super tall, 6'5". He was using, that kickboxing, like, tall, lengthy, keep your range with your arms. So because of that, he got like 2 or 3 eye pokes in this fight. But when he did close the distance, he'd use knees to the body, good clinch work. And now he trains with Pereira, as you can see in the photo. So, this guy, I'm not sure how good he's going to do because he's a little bit older now and he's just now transitioning. But, I mean, who else better to train with than Pereira? I mean, one of your last rivals or whatever. But I think he's a good addition nonetheless, and adds to that that boogeyman. Like, someone, Pereira might have a boogeyman. There's another guy too I'm gonna mention later on that people might think is Pereira's boogeyman, but I don't think this guy's trying to go for Pereira just yet. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, he's definitely a good fighter. Next up, Navajo Sterling. I don't have too much to say on this guy, but he's 26, 6'4", light heavyweight. He's 5-0. All his fights ended in finishes. He showed solid kickboxing. He would use punches before his kicks and maybe kicks before punches, just mixing it up all around. And he showed good power. I think he should get like a medium to low level move up in competition. All right, moving on to week 6. Atiba Gautier. This guy is 22, 6'4", middleweight. He's 6-1, and his loss is a decision loss, split decision loss. He has a 83% finishing rate, and he has concussive ground and pound, powerful elbows from top position, and broke through his opponent's guard. But his takedown defense needs a little bit of work, but his striking looked a little bit weird to me too in this fight, but I think it's just because his opponent was kind of weird, like fighting awkwardly. But this guy is super young as well. I think he might be the youngest prospect signed, maybe not, but still super young, 22, and I think he's just going to do really good in the UFC. Yeah, great prospect to have for middleweight. Next up, Taliesin Teixeira, 24, 6'7", heavyweight, 7-0. All his fights ended in finishes. This guy has crazy power, and he dropped his opponent with a leg kick, but he moves slow as molasses. So I want to see him just kind of build himself up, maybe get like an easier to mid-range level fight next, and just see how he does out there, kind of build him up, But a decent addition to the roster for sure. And he's only 24 too. Both these guys are really young. They have plenty of time to improve. All right, week 7, we got Alexia Tayanara. She's 24. Nope, my bad. 26, 5'4", and she's a strawweight, 11-1. And as Joe Rogan would say, she's a real marauder, man. She showed heart in there, pushed the pace with cardio, and had okay feints in there, a good 1-2 combo. I think we give her like a Yeah, like an easier step up in competition, nothing too crazy, something to build her up. She's a fun personality to have in the women's strawweight division for sure. All right, Kevin Vallejos. He's 22, 5'7", lightweight, 14-1, and that loss is a decision loss to Gene Silva, which is not a bad loss at all on the Contender Series. He has a 75% finishing rate, and he moves like a featherweight or lighter, maybe like a bantamweight. He's really, really fast, counter puncher, using combos. He was throwing like a lead uppercut, then a rear, then a hook, or maybe hook, rear, lead, just mixing it up all around. He put that guy in a blender, his opponent in the Contender Series. I want to say, Marian Santos, he called him out for a fight. I hope they make that fight because he's coming off a great knockout win too. So hopefully they book that. Either way, this guy needs a decent step up in competition. And definitely a great addition to the UFC. I mean, look how good Gene Silva's doing in the UFC and all the fighting nerds. So for sure, a great prospect. All right, week 8. We've got Jacoby Smith. He's 28, 5'10", welterweight. He's 8-0. He's Oklahoma State wrestler. In his fight, he showed strong control, and he was taking the back a lot, using creative trips, like he slammed his knee into the back of the opponent's leg to get him down, things like that. And he was chain wrestling a lot, and he got a TKO with elbows. He looked okay out there. I think he should get like a lower level competition next, lower difficulty fight next, and he's definitely an okay addition to the roster. Next up, Torres Finney. People were calling this guy a mini DC. He's 25, 5'7". He's a middleweight. He's 10-0. This guy has 3 Contender Series fights. He won his first one by submission, his second one by decision on week 2, but Dana wasn't impressed, so he fought on week 8, and this time he got the TKO. He's got 80% finishing rate, and he's got a crazy build. If you look this guy up on Google, he's built like a tank. He has a great high crotch single leg takedown. I think that's why people were comparing him to DC in a way. And he's really well spoken in his post fight, and he gave like a WWE level like promo in his post fight too. But he seems like a nice, humble person, and I think he's a good guy. I think he should get like a fun fight next. Nothing too crazy, something to build him up as well. But both of these guys are good prospects. But I'm pretty high on Torres Finney. I like him as a prospect. Good personality. All right, week 8, we got Alberto Montez. He's 30, 5'7", and he's a featherweight. He's 10-1. His loss is by KO. People were calling this guy Venezuelan Ilia Topuria. I see it a little bit. Yeah, he's durable, and he has quality boxing, so that's definitely why people were comparing him to Ilia. He also has great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well, and in his fight, it was a real scrap, a back and forth. In his next fight, I think he should get like a low-level to medium-level step up in competition. But he looked really good in this fight, and he put on an exciting performance for sure. I like this guy as a prospect for sure, too. He's going to do great in the UFC. Next up, we got Dr. Nergizay. He's 27, 6'2", light heavyweight. He's 10-0, so he's undefeated. He's got an 80% finishing rate. He's a slow starter in the first round. I didn't see too much out of him, but in the second, he set up a nice 1-2 head kick, reminiscent of Leon or Mirko Cro Cop, as the old heads would say. But he's a good little addition to heavyweight. Light heavyweight. All right, moving on. Week 9, we got Islam Dulatov. He's 26, 6'3", welterweight. He's 10-1, and his one loss is by unanimous decision. He was showing wild aggression in his fight, mixing up to the body and head, showing good head movement, and he barely got hit in his fight. He used a step-in elbow to crumble his opponent, and also in the lead-up, he was dealing with multiple injuries, and in his post-fight, he also gave a humble little speech. His opponent was also like grunting like he is a pit bull in the walkout, and then he prayed right in the center of the cage just to get annihilated by Dulatov. So Dulatov is a great prospect. Germany, y'all have a great prospect for sure. And this guy's definitely one of the most hyped up prospects, and I'm definitely really impressed with this guy. He needs a medium to high level step up for sure. Yeah, I think he showed all the right traits to succeed in the UFC, and he's still real young too. Good record, and I'm just curious of what he'll do out there. All right, next up we got Artem Vakitov. He's 33. He's 6'1", light heavyweight, and his record is 3 wins, all finishes, and then 1 loss by KO. In his fight, besides the first initial trip, he went 6 for 6 on stuffed takedowns. So even though he's coming from kickboxing, Glory Kickboxing, you could tell he's been trying to work that MMA game, work that grappling defense, takedown defense, etc. In his fight, he also showed great footwork, just overall movement, head movement too, and he also barely got hit in his fight. He's for sure a good prospect. This is the guy that everyone's really trying to say is Alex Pereira's boogeyman, but I don't really see it. He kind of almost looks like a gamer or something, like with that haircut, bro. I don't know. He looks like not like a fighter, but what do I know? You know. He looked really good in his fight, and we'll see how far he goes. He's definitely a good prospect. Yeah. All right, week 10, last person. We got Nick Klein. He's 29, 6'1", light heavyweight, and he's 5-1. His 1 loss is by knockout. He's got an 80% finishing rate, and he also took this fight on short notice. He got the upset rear naked choke win in the first round in less than a minute. So we didn't really get to see too much out of this guy, but nonetheless, he looked really impressive. To me, this guy looks like Country McGregor, Hillbilly McGregor. But he did really good. Definitely give this guy like a mid to, just mid-level step up in competition. And he's a fun personality too, talking about being blue-collar and being hard-working and things like this. Yeah, great prospect. But that's about it, you guys. That's all the picks I have for you. I think the best week of the Contender Series was week 8. It felt like a real fight night card almost, with all the finishes and all the hype and the build up towards the end. And we got plenty of great prospects to see how they'll do in the UFC now. Let me know what you think about my picks. Let me know if you think I did good, if I missed anyone, if they're shit. Just let me know what you think. I appreciate you for listening. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next.